kind of statue of Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylonia. Once again, look at it. Eating, party versus the party. Mordechai not bowing down. Who's endangering the Jewish people? God says, I'm going to destroy the Jewish people because they bowed down in the times of Nebuchadnezzar, which means that when the Jewish people do certain things that remind us of various transgressions, it brings it back. It's called like an upload on the computer terminology. We would call it an upload. When the Jewish people do something which is similar to a transgression that happened many, many years ago, that new transgression will cause the old one to be renewed and to come into play again. So even though it was the sleeper cell, this various sin was a sleeper cell, right? Even though it was a sleeper cell for many, many years, all of a sudden it awakens again. And Hashem says, now I remember the fact that you also bowed down in the times of Nebuchadnezzar to some kind of statue of honor that he had made for himself. Okay, so we see that's our third v'nafochu. Who is correct? What side are we on? What side will we be on in the future? Okay, now, next question we have. To many of us who think on a level of, me, myself, and I, unfortunately in our generations, it's a generation of me, myself, and I. We might look at it, most people would look at it as, what's going on here between this dispute between Mordechai and Haman. It's a religious side issue, private confrontation between Haman and Mordechai. Nothing more, nothing less. That's what it is. We're talking about something small, something quiet, a dispute between two people, a religious confrontation between two people, but that's it. This could not be further from the truth, because the historical, the Jewish, the Torah truth is that we know these guys not from today. We know them 18 years ago, because when King of Cyprus, Koresh, when he allowed 18 years ago, when he allowed the Jewish people to return to the land of Israel, kind of like Balfour Declaration of 1917. 17 or 27? 17. Okay. This is very similar to that declaration. So, he allows the Jewish people to come back to the land of Israel, and he allows the Jewish people to rebuild the temple. Okay, so now, what's going on? A group of people, Samaritans and others, come. And Chazal tell us in various places, in a book called Seder Adorot, in many other places, you could find it in many of the Chazalim on the story of Esther. They say, those 10 sons of Haman? They are not newcomers. They are not new on the block. They've been around for a while. Those sons were the same people, part of the same group that fought against the Jewish people, that literally attacked the Jewish people as they were trying to build up the land of Israel, as they were trying to build up the temple. These people attacked us. So there's nothing further than the truth here than a private religious kind of confrontation here, keeping it quiet. We're talking about blown up in your face. We're talking about here a tremendous battle royal, a national fight between the Jewish people and the enemies of the Jewish people. It started many years ago when the Jewish people began to come back to the land of Israel. And it's continuing. It's continuing in Persia under the term of Achashverosh, King Achashverosh. So we have to get that straight. Nothing here is private, and nothing here is just on a religious issue here. Here, it's the whole. It's the whole. The whole world here is at stake. The Jewish people, their future is at stake here. It's a war between two nations here that's happening, that's going down. Okay, now that we understand that anything that Mordechai does or anything that Haman does, it's not something that's just because of a private fight between two people. It's nation versus nation here. What is Mordechai doing? What is Mordechai doing? According to most sources, this was not idol worshiping. There was no idol worshiping going on over here. According to most sources. And even sources that do claim that there was idol worshiping here, we'll see very soon that it did not matter to Mordechai whether there was an issue here of idol worshiping or not. Let's check it out. Let's start rolling here. Okay, our next source is we have the following unbelievable Torah from Rav Levi Yitzchak from Bardichev. In Kedushas Alevi, he writes the following. Here. The king, listen closely, open up our ears and let's listen. The king commanded all of the servants and all those that come to visit the palace, they were all commanded to bow down to Haman, except for one person. Anybody have a good guess who we're talking about? Who was exempt from that rule? Mordechai. That's not what they taught us when we were in kindergarten, Eliezer. No. Why? Because Mordechai was so dear to the king Achashverosh that he made this decree. Everyone had to bow down to Haman except for one guy, because this guy Mordechai was very, very dear to him. Now, if you look out in history, there were probably hundreds or maybe even more people, Jews, that the king or the ruler of the time took them into high positions as advisors, etc., because they knew that if they had a Jew, one of these court Jews with them, their empire would be successful. So this is nothing new to us here. So he was very, very fond of Mordechai, the Jew. So therefore, it's unbelievable. So Mordechai doesn't have to bow down. So why is Haman all upset? Mordechai is exempt. You go with a press card, exempt. Unbelievable. Check this out. The Kedushas Halevi says the following. That the Rav Levi Yitzchak says the following in his commentary on the Torah. He told everyone that he met, public officials, public servants, stomp people off the street, regular people. He would tell them, you know what? The only reason I'm not bowing down to Mordechai, he didn't use the card of the exemption, which he could have. He says, you know why I'm not bowing down to him? Because I'm a Jew. Okay? Because I'm a Jew. And therefore, I'm not bowing down to anybody. I'm a Jew. Because I'm a Jew. I do that too. He's not, Unbelievable. Mordechai, I mean, you could make things so smooth and calm. Why are you making these waves? Just tell him you have this card. Take out that card of, I'm exempt. No, Mordechai refuses to use that card, that exemption card. Pass. He passes on the pass. Yeah. Okay. Not only that, goes on. Kedushas HaLevi, folks. He goes on. We're going for the curve. Esther comes up to him and says, listen, Mordechai, okay, the way you're doing it, you're really infuriating him. I mean, there's ways to do things. Esther says to Mordechai, listen, there's ways how to do things, and you're not doing it properly. You're infuriating him, the way that you're going about it. She comes up to him, according to Rav Levi Yitzchak, she comes up to him and says, listen, I'm not against you not bowing down. But I want you to tell everybody that the reason why you're not bowing down is because the king, Achashverosh, exempted you from this rule. And Mordechai refuses. He, on purpose, he goes out, and he's going out to fight and making an issue, even though he has this pass to be exempt. Okay, more. Let's keep it rolling here. Next. The Gra says, the Holy Gra, Rav Eliyahu from Vilna, he writes on his commentary to the Megillah. He writes the following. He says an unbelievable. Here's what he says. How did Haman know that Mordechai wasn't bowing down to him? How did he know that? There's so many people. For example, a person sitting in a courtroom. How do you know exactly who's bowing down and not? There's so many people around. You can't really see who's bowing down or not. So the Gra says, you know how he knew? This is unbelievable chiddush. This is like a new angle at it. How did he know? If you look at the verse says, V'chol avdei hamelech. Okay? V'chol avdei hamelech. Who told Haman that Mordechai wasn't bowing down? According to the Gra, at the beginning, he never saw that. He didn't see it. So how did he know? He knew because of the fact that Mordechai made it his business to come up to all the servants of the king and say, hey guys, you know why I'm not bowing down to Zeh? Oh, I didn't know you were not bowing down. Yeah, know it. Know the fact. The reason why I'm not bowing down, I'll tell you why. It's because of the fact that I'm a Jew. Okay? I'm a Jew, and we don't bow down to people. We don't bow down to to others. So the Gra writes that his generation, Mordechai's generation, looked at this as stubbornness. They look at it as it's invalid. What you're doing, Mordechai, there's no place for it at all. You are endangering the entire Jewish people. I mean, this is really unbelievable. He never saw him. At the beginning, he never saw him not bow down. It's only because if you look at the verse again, when you hear it tonight, look at those words. And it says there clearly that the reason how he knew about, because the servants of the king told him. How did they know? Because Mordechai made it his business to tell all of them what he was doing or not doing. Very interesting. Next. Some more sources about Mordechai's actions. It says in the Talmud, Megillah, Tractate Megillah, 12th page. It says, Rabbah says, the Jewish people, Knesset Yisrael. Okay, very interesting they use the expression here. I think it's kind of a prophecy. The Knesset Yisrael. They don't usually use it. It would say It say Am Yisrael, Yisrael. It says here Knesset Yisrael. They looked at Mordechai. Mordechai was the son of Yair, the grandson of Shimi, the great-grandson of Kish. And they looked at Mordechai and they were furiated. Why? Because they were upset on two levels. They were upset with King Saul because King Saul left Agag to stay alive, and this brought Haman. And now Mordechai is inciting Haman. So they're upset with Shaul HaMelech. They're also upset with King David. Why? Because of the fact that King David, he didn't kill Shimi. He didn't kill the Jew Shimi, which is the grandfather of Mordechai. If he would have killed Shimi, we wouldn't have to suffer because of Mordechai's shenanigans, and he's inciting up all the Gentiles against the Jewish people here, endangering the entire future of the Jewish people. So they were upset from both sides of the family. Okay, Mordechai said, and the Maharal says an unbelievable Torah. Maharal says, even stick it in your face. Maharal says that every time Mordechai did not bow down to Haman, he could have used a different ways. He could have put on his ways. There's all different kinds of ways that your ways could take you. He could have gone the other ways, but he picked the path where he would run into who? Haman, in order to incite him. The Maharal in Or Chadash, New Light, in his book Or Chadash, he brings down that it says it wasn't Avodah Zarah, it wasn't idol worshipping, it was just a statue of honor, maybe of himself. Not only that, he brings down another Chazal. It says in Agadat Esther, on the 3rd chapter, the second paragraph, it says the Jewish people say to Mordechai, we want you to know that because of you, we will all be killed. You have thrown us to the mercy of the sword of the enemy, of Haman. That's what you're doing, Mordechai. Oh my God. What in the world is going on over here? Why isn't Mordechai bowing down? 2 reasons. The 2 reasons Chazal give us. Put on your seatbelts. Reason number 1. Just 2 more points. Just to stress this point that it really doesn't matter if he was wearing Avodah Zarah or not, because we see that Mordechai would make it his business to go in front of him, make it his business to tell people about it. It doesn't really matter. But 2 more sources that we have here. It says in Chazal that many times Haman would take off the idol worshipping from his garment, from his coat. Why? Because he wanted to see if that was the problem. If the problem is he's not bowing down to me because of idol worshipping, okay, maybe I'm willing to take it off. So Chazal tell us that occasionally he would go by Mordechai and he would take it off. And even so, Mordechai would not bow down. He's not wearing anything. It's just Haman. It's just like when you see a person, many times a person, a person bows down a little bit to a person, like Obama to the king of Saudi Arabia, something like that. So there's no problem here, right? There's no halachic problem here. Mordechai doesn't do that either. Last, it says that it says by Chazal that Mordechai was teaching the children, teaching 22,000 kids during the 3-day fast. He was teaching them Torah. and it happens to be who walks by, you know, the last guy you want to like to see, Haman walks by. So it says, Mordechai lo kam v'lo za. He didn't stand up. He didn't even blink an eye in order not to show any recognition. But not only that, if that's not bad enough, it says that he kicks out his leg. Why? On his leg, there's a copy of the contract that Mordechai had many, many years ago, 18 years ago, when they met up first in the land of Israel. And Haman was trying to do his best to stop the building of the Jewish temple, to stop the coming of the Jewish people to the land of Israel. They met then. And that's when, I'm not going into the story now, but Haman became, under certain conditions that they agreed to, Haman became a servant of Mordechai. So Mordechai kept that document. Good idea. Always keep your documents. From here we see the first person that did that. And he just like in your face, you know, like, I'm not going to stand up for you. I'm not going to bow down to you, but I'm going to give you my foot. You know, as we know, in many countries, a show of, you know, disgust is something with your leg, your shoe, or your leg. So that's what Mordechai had to do. Okay, now, why is he doing this? Chazal tell us that the reason why Mordechai is doing this, okay, why is he doing this? There's two reasons. First reason is the following. He says, listen, I'm from the tribe of Benjamin. And the tribe of Benjamin is the only member of tribe that was not born outside the land of Israel. So get this, folks. Land of Israel represents strength, courage, standing up, not bowing down. If I was from the outside of the land of Israel, if that's my blood, okay, that's our blood, and we bow down. But Mordechai, I'm from Binyamin, and Binyamin did not bow down to Esav. Binyamin did not bow down to Esav. He's the only member of the family of Jacob that was born in the land of Israel. The only member of his family. All of them were born during the 22 years that Jacob was in the White House, Beit HaLavan, the house of Lavan. So I'm from Eretz Yisrael. We don't bow down. Second reason, he says the following. He says the following reason, another reason why I'm not bowing down to you is that when everybody bowed down to you, all my brothers, etc., when all the 11 other tribes bowed down to Esav, there was only one tribe that did not bow down to Esav. And that was, of course, Binyamin. So therefore we have two reasons. Number one, Binyamin is from the land of Israel, and the land of Israel represents strength, courage, pride, and we don't bow down. And number two is that my head of tribe never bowed down to Esav. So therefore, I'm not going to bow down. The Shla Kadosh writes in his book, a explanation, commentary on the tractate of Megillah on page 368. He says an unbelievable Torah. Now listen to this, unbelievable Torah. He brings down a Kabbalistic book called Kanfei Yonah. It says the following, the secret, if you want to know the secret of Purim is Netzach. What is Netzach? Netzach is one of the seven spiritual realms that the world was created. Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Sod, Malchut. 7 spiritual realms, spheres. So the holiday of Purim represents Netzach, which also means eternity. As we know, all holidays will become not exactly expired, but less important than the holiday in the future, than the holiday of Purim. Purim will always remain on top. Other holidays will sink. When the Messiah comes, they'll sink in their importance. The Torah is eternal. But eternity, Purim is called eternity. Okay? So, and it's also, so eternity, and it's also Netzach is, if we take all the 7 spheres, each one is connected to another limb. What's Netzach? Netzach is the leg. Okay, Netzach is a person's leg. Okay, now listen to this Torah. Unbelievable. If you ever notice in religions that they bow down, what is that all about? Why do all religions, Christian, Islam, Jews, of course it was all stolen from Jews, why do we bow down? What's the idea about that? So a person will probably say that we want to show that we're subservient, which is of course true, many reasons. But listen to this reason that the Shla Kadosh gives in his book. It is a known secret. Shh, don't tell anybody. We're having a lot of secrets here. It is a known secret, the Shla says, that the secret of bowing down is the following. How does a person bow down? Bowing down represents taking from above, taking sustenance from God. I bring my body down and I go to the ground and I bring it, okay? I bring it down and then I come up and bring it to myself. That's the secret behind bowing down. It's we're saying, God, please bestow upon myself tremendous shefa, tremendous, okay, blessing, etc. We're bringing it down. By bowing down, we're bringing it down, and we're coming up to bring it back to us. So listen to this Torah. When 11 tribes, Eliezer, baby, we're going here. It's a grand slam. It's the last of the 9th. 7, you know what I'm saying? Last game, 7th game, World Series here. We're going for the grand slam. 2 outs, 2 strikes. Okay, here it goes. When the 11 tribes bow down to Esav, what did they give him? We said that when you bow down, you're taking from above, from Hashem, and you're giving it over to yourself, hopefully. But when you bow down to a person, who are you giving sustenance to? The person that you bow down to, you're giving them power. You're empowering them. When the 11 brothers, when they bow down to Esav, this empowered tremendously Esav. And not only Esav, but for his whole spiritual clan, spiritual powers that he has. This gave him tremendous power. And this gave him power in order to nail Jacob where? On the leg. Oh. Purim is Netzach. Netzach is the leg. Jacob, Mordechai, as we said a couple weeks ago, he's the continuation. He's the reincarnation of Jacob. Oh, very interesting. Legs. How do you bow down? With your legs. You have to buckle, you have to bend your knees. And that gave power. Folks, we're sitting here like a bunch of jerks. That gave power when we bowed down to Esav, the 11 tribes. And we'll discuss in a minute why he doesn't say Jacob. But when the 11 tribes bowed down to Esav, it empowered him and all his ilk and all his nation and all the spirituality of them. And that gave them power in order to nail Jacob where? On the place where you bow down, on your leg. That's the source of the problem. So that's where he gets hit. Why did we say Jacob? It says by the Zohar Kadosh on page 171, side B. in the book of Genesis. It says the following, that Jacob bowed down, not to Esau, he bowed down to the Shekhinah. But folks, I have a tremendous secret to tell you. It's true that Jacob bowed down and into the Shekhinah, to the divine presence, and not to Esau. But what about the other tribes? No one knew that except for Jacob. So what about them? Which means that when they saw Jacob bow down, they said, well, he's the rabbi here. He's the chief rabbi. He knows what he's doing. We're going to just follow suit. So they go and they bow down. And therefore, the Shla says, he finishes off. He says the only person that had an excuse was Jacob. So why was Jacob punished in his leg? We said he's an example. People looked at him. He was an example. Nachon, true, he had an excuse, but no one else knew that. They were bowing down to Esau. The only one that did not bow down with his legs to Esau was Binyamin the righteous. And therefore, power remains amongst the tribe of Benjamin. Because we said when you bow down, you're taking the power from heavens, the spiritual realm, and you're bringing it hopefully to yourself or to the Jewish people. No, but here they gave it over to Esav and his nation. So the only person that has the power left is Binyamin. And therefore, they could not damage Binyamin. There was no power that they could nail him.
It's interesting, Rabbi, maybe on a Passover, we can tie in how the bowing down, maybe Joseph had them bow to him to somehow recapture that power, to somehow redirect it, or at least focus it in some way.
Very good, very good. You get a like on that one. So, folks, what warning are we on here?
Well, on this camera, you have 30 seconds. Yeah, 30 seconds.
Okay.
I let this one go.
Anyways, there's a lot more, folks, but a great Purim for all. And remember, Purim is the holiday of the land of Israel. Hoping to see all of us soon in the Holy Land, God willing. A happy Freilich Purim to all.
I'm going to try to put those up on the audios, up on my